And finally, we'll just hang our head back. Maybe shake it a little bit side to side. And now we'll take one roll and then to the other side. Then we'll roll our shoulders back and forward. Back and forward. Then I'll step my feet out to be a little bit more than hip width apart. And we'll plie or bend the knees to reach up and breathe. And then come back down to reach up and breathe. We're gonna do this a few times. And what we're doing here is really stretching out the whole body and letting it warm up, getting all the muscles moving before we start stretching. And this is something that you should always do before you stretch. You don't want to just start pushing your body into something it's not ready for. If your muscles are warm, you're going to find that the flexibility comes much easier. Awesome job, guys. Great. So for this next stretch, I'm going to grab this stool behind me, but you can grab anything in your house that's about that height, a desk, a table, or a chair, anything will work. So if you need to grab that, go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to come and place my feet more than hip width apart, and then we're going to lean forward to rest our hands on this stool. And this is just to make getting into this stretch a lot easier. You really want to make progress here and make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on your hands, but it's there to keep it from being too painful. So let's hold here. Make sure you're breathing, sending oxygen to your hamstrings while you stretch them. And try as hard as you can to relax, because the more relaxed your muscles are, the more flexible they will be. And then I will come up and we'll move it a little bit to the side so that it makes a line with my leg, and then I'll come to the side. In this position, I want to make sure my hips are even and I'm not letting one be higher than the other. And again, I'm breathing. And then we'll come back up and move it to the other side. And you can also be moving your body instead of the stool or chair or whatever you're using. Remembering to breathe. And back up. And just one more time for good measure, we're going to come back to the center. So I'm going to come down on my elbows here to give myself a little bit of an extra stretch, but I only recommend doing this if you're able to keep your back flat while doing so. And by that I mean it's engaged, your shoulder blades are tucked down, pulling towards your lower back, and you aren't letting it arch up like this, just keeping it nice and flat, should be parallel to the ground. And if you aren't able to do that here, then come back up onto your hands. And then we'll come back up to stand. So for this next stretch, we're going to be sitting on the ground. So I'm going to move this stool out of our way. I'm going to sit back on the edge of my mat and extend my legs out to either side. Now in a full straddle stretch, your legs will be straight, but in our modified version, we'll have our legs bent here, lifting our knees up off of the ground. And from here, you'll just go as far forward as you can. Now, I encourage you to place your hands a foot, maybe 2 feet in front of your hips. And from here, you want to slowly try and straighten your legs, bringing your knees to touch the ground. So that's what you're fighting for, and you just want to hold. So straddle stretch is a great stretch to be able to see your own progress in. I encourage you to pay attention to the floor if you're stretching in the same place every day. So you'll start to see your hands move along, and it's really encouraging. So while you're pulling to get into these stretches a little bit deeper, you always want to make sure you're pulling from the right place. And the common thing to do is pull the top of your head down to try and pull yourself closer to the ground, but you actually want to pull your chest closer, and that's going to keep your back lifted